Hi everybody, it's Linda. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching. I have a flip through of all 4 of my winter fairy journals that I completed. These are the ones that I made with the ephemera that I created during the Dephemerember daily prompts with 49 Dragonflies and luiseHEINZL. And what I've been doing is a series of 4 fairy journals for each season. And this is my 3rd set. This is the winter fairies, but they are not winter themed. They're just a colorful general fairy journal theme, but I'm just creating them in the winter, so therefore they're my winter fairy journals, if that makes sense. So this is my 2nd time making this video. I made one yesterday, and for some reason it is still stuck in YouTube trying to upload. So I thought I'd just make another one and see if maybe this one would upload faster. So what I'm gonna do is flip through them one at a time. This one is the Eyebright Journal, Eyebright Fairy, and I'm gonna go through them alphabetically by the name of the fairy. And each one is listed in my Etsy shop, Joyful Makes and Finds, and you can identify it by the name of the fairy on the cover. So this Eyebright Fairy, and all of the journals are pretty much identical on the inside, which you'll see, just different mostly on the outside. There's a little bit of color variation on the inside, but they are all a semi-hardback journal that is made from a heavy, waxy poster board kind of media that I covered with denim. And they have one sewn-in signature of 16 full-size sheets, so it makes 32 pages and about 64 sides in each journal. I have an alphabet fairy fabric panel, a different fairy on each cover. I created a ruffle made of this colorful batik fabric, and each has a flower made from layers of a Kantha quilt. They are all have eyelet closures with recycled sari silk ties, and this one is a beautiful dark red. So let's get in and take a flip through. Okay, so the cover, I created side pockets on both the front and back cover with the denim, and the sari silk ties are easily moved or removed, replaced, whatever. I just really like the flexibility that just tying these ties in a knot and having them be very removable. I think that gives you a lot of options. And then each has a bulb pin with a Handmade with Love charm. And in the front pocket is an envelope made from Liberty of London paper from a paper book, and that's credited in the description box, and a fairy with some die-cut leaves and some gold splatters, and a letter from me inside. All of the pages are a combination of coffee dye and avocado dyed paper for the most part. And this first page here has a postcard that I made into a pocket with a bit of a lace snippet and a fairy postmark, faux fairy postage stamp, and this handmade book, matchbook that is filled with some vintage playing cards and ephemera. And this is a piece that I embossed. Okay, This is some Tim Holtz scrapbook paper here for a short page. Some avocado dyed lined paper. I want to make sure I'm really kind of in frame well here. And this page tends to be one of my favorite pages throughout all of the journals, and it is a fabric snippet that was created by Art by Lisa Jane. This one I added some of my own extra elements to, and then tucked inside is this journal card that I covered in Kathy Holden fabric and a bit of lace and some embroidery fabric, some rubber stamping, postmark stamp, and a vintage postage stamp. And it just tucks right in there. And this paper is coffee dyed paper that I did some extra distressing to with some handmade distressed Scotch tape. Can you see that? And I just roughed up the edges. In each of the journals, there will be 4 pages that are original pages from a complete book of the Flower Fairies by Cicely Mary Barker. This is the Song of the Shepherd's Purse Fairy, some vintage music paper, some vintage painty packaging paper. This is a fabric flip made from a very fun embroidered fabric. This is like a embroidery on like a mustard yellow, I don't know what you call this, kind of a organza? No, that's not the right word, but anyway, kind of a semi sheer fabric. And I sewed it onto a vintage gardening book page, and it goes over the top of the page, so it creates kind of a topper on the back side. Some vintage children's ledger. This is a paper bag, and on the front here, I paper clipped as a closure a handmade ATC. And inside of this paper bag is a tea bag pouch with decorated with a vintage fairy and a button and beaded ties. And inside of each of these in each journal is some delicious Twinings winter spice herbal tea that is absolutely delicious. And it smells so good too. Okay. And for time purposes, I will adhere that after I'm finished. Okay, so this page here is kind of fun. It is a tuck spot that I made with a, I'm sorry, my words are escaping me today, with a mason jar, and this is a digital from luiseHEINZL's Lavender Junk Journal Kit, I believe, but it's in the description box. And I added some fairies and some sparkles to that jar, and a feather and some other details. And also this large journaling card that I made from a vintage bingo card, and one of the Tim Holtz paper dowels, and the Tim Holtz wings, and a feather inner bow. That tucks right in there. Here's some fancy coffee dyed paper and a beautiful freebie digital from Tina at Shabby Dabby Doodah. I thought the colors matched just beautifully for the journal. I covered the back with some lined coffee dyed paper for journaling. And here is another page from the Flower Fairies of the Winter. This is the Song of the Box Tree Fairy. This is the Song of the Black Thorn Fairy and the Song of the Snowdrop Fairy. So these are Flower Fairies of the Winter. And each of the signature ties is beaded with some pretty seed beads, a large fairy charm, and then just some really pretty matching beads, coordinating colors. This is the Song of the Lord and Ladies Fairy. This is a piece that I created that is a postage stamp page tab, It has 2 different postage stamps back to back. They are the flower fairies, and they are encased in mica, and it has a fairy charm as well as a little crystal dangling from that page. And this pretty spread is the Shabby Dabby Doodah digital, and a altered playing card that I created with a Red Lead Paperworks rubber stamped fairy, and I embossed the edges, added this pretty wooden butterfly and the sentiment finders keepers, and it's just paper clipped on there so it can be used anywhere in the journal. This other side of the paper bag is closed with a specimen slide that I made of the coffee plant, and the colors match really well. And I just put a brad in here to close it, to close the paper bag. Inside, and this is in all of the journals, is a very thick folio that I created, and I'm thinking that this folio you may want to put somewhere else, either outside of the journal or because it will remove quite a lot of bulk in here, so that you'll have more room in the journal for your journaling and your own creations. And this you can absolutely use anywhere. It's a great little ephemera holder. It's a great little piece of happy mail to send, in addition to another journal that can maybe take the bulk. And it is one that I made from a 9x6 manila envelope. And it is a 7-pocket folio. So there's 1, 2, 3 pockets right here. 2 of the pockets I've put some journaling paper in. The top pocket is empty. There's a very, very top pocket in the very center of the folio itself that is empty. And then on the back side of the folio, there's a slanted pocket that has 2 tickets in it. One of them is, I've kind of decorated a little bit. It's coffee stained. And this pocket, in each of the little folios, will have a different little fairy journaling card with a children's illustration featuring fairies and this beautiful little girl. And they're all different in each of these cards are a little different in each of the journals. And then in the top pocket, there is a blank tag for you to use. And then this closes by wrapping around and about. And at the very end, there is a pretty envelope charm on each one. So I'm going to put it back in this pocket, and it will arrive in this paper bag in your journal. But feel free to remove it and use it somewhere else just to save bulk. And I will replace this when I'm finished with the flip through, so that I don't take up the time doing that. This is a bookmark that was a free digital from luiseHEINZL that I thought would make a nice addition to this journal. And this is the back side of the gardening journal page, gardening book page. In here, this is a junk mail envelope, window envelope, that I collaged and decorated a little bit. And inside is a very large tag that says, "Once you choose hope, anything is possible." And this is a nod to breast cancer survivors and breast cancer awareness with these fairy, goddess fairies. And it slides. There's a pocket also behind. This is also a tuck. So there's other things that you can do with this page as well. And this tag slides in here. And the nice quote and sentiment shows through the window. This is the back side of that packaging, and I attached to it some painty papers that I made. These were leftover mop-ups from an acrylic an acrylic paint project that I made, and I just mopped up the extra acrylic paint with tags and paper and made some ephemera from it. This is a coin envelope that I made a little journaling little notebook made of coffee dyed paper that I sewed, and it closes with a magnet and a flower. And then I added a matching tag also that I topped with some lace. Okay, and that's the back of the painty packaging. And this is another page from the book, the fairy book. It's the Song of the Hazel Catkin Fairy, and on it I created a fabric tab made from Kantha quilt, a piece of a Kantha quilt. And the back side is the Song of the Tottergrass Fairy, and I just love the pattern on this Kantha quilt. And I did credit the Etsy shop that I got the Kantha quilt scraps from in the description box. This is another page of the distressed coffee dyed paper that I made. Here, this is a pocket, large pocket that I made from a CD envelope, and it's a shaker page. These sequins will, I don't want to shake you up, but if you shake this page, the sequins will shake, and this little fairy is holding a banner of sequins. It says, "Believe in the magic." Tucked into the pocket is a loaded tag. It's got a pocket and a tab on the top from some handmade paper that my sister made and gave to me, and a little wooden envelope, butterfly embellishment. And then there are two other tags in the pocket. This one just has a memory coffee dyed paper that you can journal on, and a sweet little fairy image with some fabric and some stamped mushrooms. So these just go in this pocket here. And then I also tucked in some handmade tickets with fairies and some sentiments on them. Okay. Let's get us back in. Okay. And then this is the Tim Holtz scrapbook paper, and I also used it for this pocket. This is one of luiseHEINZL's children fussy cut pieces that are just beautiful. And the sentiment, "Always believe that something wonderful is about to happen." This is actually one of Barbara from 49 Dragonflies, her fairy sentiments digitals, and those are in the description box. And I embellished this. They are holding flowers here, and I just wanted to make those flowers dimensional with some stickers and some greenery. And then tucked into the pocket is a little booklet that you can journal on, and I added some punchinella or sequin waste that you can use as a stencil or just a bit of decor. It just looks pretty in the journal. And this little ATC journaling card that is actually my daughter when she's 27 now, but this is her when she was 3. And this wonderful quote about fairies from Peter Pan. It says, "When the first baby laughed for the first time, the laugh broke into 1,000 pieces, and they all went skipping about, and that was the beginning of fairies." And that is my favorite quote about fairies. And there's a little magic wand there on the charm on the top. So those are in this pocket here. And then the very last page, there is an original Cicely Mary Barker Flower Fairy large postcard that is in there. And also a little mini fairy journal. So you can give this to your favorite fairies, leave it in your fairy garden for the fairies to journal and use as a diary. It's made from little index cards. It's just a fun little piece you can add to a Happy Mail or just do whatever you'd like with. Write some quotes in there. just whatever. Just kind of a sweet little piece that I tucked in here. And that is the journal, Eyebright Fairy Journal that is listed in my Etsy shop. Now I'm going to go through the other journals, and I'm going to go through them much more quickly. This is the Fumitory Fairy Journal, and she's beautiful. It's kind of an odd name. I guess it's referring to these flowers. I'm not really familiar with the Fumitory word, but I tried to match the colors of the Kantha flower to the particular fairy, as well as things like the sari silk ties and the colors of the beads. Otherwise, it is absolutely identical to the first one. It has the Liberty of London envelope with a letter from me. The same matchbook filled with ephemera, and the postcard with the snippet. It has another piece of the fabric snippet made by art from Lisa Jane in her Etsy shop, and a handmade journaling card. Kind of coordinates. This is Flower Fairies of the Wayside from the complete book of the Flower Fairies. This is the Song of the Tansy Fairy. This is the fabric flip for this journal. And as you can tell, depending on what flowers were on the little section of fabric that I used, each of the fabric flips in each of the journals will be just a little bit different. This one has a really large, pretty flower on it. And also the back I sewed over so that it creates a topper for this journaling, or this garden page. Okay, this is the Fairy ATC, and it has the tea bag, the winter spice tea in this decorative tea bag. This is the mason jar tuck with a vintage bingo card with the Tim Holtz person there, paper dowel. This is the another one of the fairies. This is the center of the signature that has the willow fairy from the Flower Fairies of the Trees. And these are the beads that are beaded on the center signature ties. So you can see they're a little different colors than in the last one, just to kind of match with the colors of the fairy and the colors of the ties and such. This is the double-sided postage stamp encased in mica with the fairy charm and crystal. The altered playing card fairy. This is the specimen card with the coffee plant, and inside, I'm not going to open this again, inside is a 7-pocket folio that closes with some hemp, and it has a envelope charm on it. So I'm just going to set this off to the side, and I'll put that back together at the end. Bookmark that was a freebie from luiseHEINZL. The gardening page, and this is from a winter garden. And this is a junk mail envelope that I collaged, and the large tag that I created for the inside. Once you choose hope, anything is possible. It is also a pocket on the side, a pocket on the top, and a pocket that shows through the window. And I created it so that the sentiment will show through the window. This is the notepad that I made from my painty papers with coffee dyed paper sewn in, and a coordinating blank tag with some painty acrylic paint from a project that I made. Music paper. This is the Kantha Quilt page tab for this journal on the Song of the Storksbill Fairy page. Oopsie daisy. Am I getting out of frame? I apologize. I'm going to keep a close eye on that. This is the Tim Holtz pocket with some of luiseHEINZL's paper doll girls with embellished flowers, and the loaded tag that has 2 tags inside, and a wooden butterfly charm on the top, and some handmade fairy tickets in the pockets. This is the shaker page that I made from the CD envelope that I sewed around, and there's the little notepad in here with the punchinella sequin waist that you can use as a stencil on the top, and the ATC with the sweet fairy sentiment and the photograph of my daughter when she was little, dressed as a fairy or an angel. Okay. And this very last page has the original postcard from the Cicely Mary Barker Flower Fairies, and a mini journal made from little index cards that I made to tuck in the very back. And this is the last page. Here's the back pocket, and this is the Fumitory fairy. Okay, moving on, let's get to the Orchis fairy. And this is the journal that, if you followed my Dephemerember videos that I showed in the very last video, when I put all 25 of the completed ephemera pieces into a fairy journal. This is the one I showed you then. And it is the same as the others, it just has a different fairy, and as you can see, this one has a bit more of a purple, or it's actually more of a plum theme with the ties and the fairy and the Kantha quilt pieces. Okay, all of the insides, I don't know if I mentioned this. This is an eco-dyed digital that I will credit in the description box that I covered the insides of the covers with. And this is the Liberty of London paper pattern for the envelope for this journal. Has a letter from me inside, and it's decorated with a fairy and leaves. Has the little handmade with love charm. The pocket with the lace and the matchbook that has ephemera inside. I opened all of the ephemera in the first. If you have not been watching all of the flip throughs here, if you're just using the timestamp to get to the journal you're most interested in, if you want more detail for what's in some of these ephemera pieces, go to the very first or the Eyebright flip through, and I go through each ephemera piece in more detail. Okay, this is a beautiful fabric snippet with a handmade also journaling card with Kathy Holden fabric and embroidery. My favorite page in the journals. Love those fabrics. The Song of the Groundsel Fairy. This is from the Flower Fairies of the Winter. This is the fabric flip for this page, for this journal. And it has the topper on the back side and some winter garden pictures. This is the fairy ATC, and this is the tea bag, the decorative tea bag for this journal that's purple, and it has the winter spice tea inside. And I'll close that up when I finish. This is the spread that has the mason jar with fairies and the journal card that I created. This is my favorite one of the vintage bingo cards. It has Tim Holtz paper doll. She looks like a fairy godmother. I love her. She tucks right in there. This is the from the complete book of the Flower Fairies. It is the Tansy Fairy, Flower Fairies of the Wayside. And these are the beads that I used for the center signature on this one. This is a velvet bead, which I just love. Okay. All right, these are the stamps that are on this back-to-back page dangle with the fairy postage stamps encased in mica with a charm. And there's also a little crystal charm on there too. And the altered playing card. Inside of here is, this is a specimen card with a coffee plant, which I did not realize that the coffee plant has such colorful elements. I'm going to show you since I get this off of here. Such colorful elements. Isn't that pretty? And then inside is the ephemera folio that I showed you. It has 7 pockets, and there are things in almost all of the pockets for you, little ephemera pieces and such. And I'm just going to set that off to the side just for time purposes. The bookmark. This is the junk mail window envelope with the very large tag inside with the nod to breast cancer awareness. This is also a pocket back here and a pocket here. And this, once you choose hope, anything is possible, shows through the window. This is the coin envelope, little notebook that I made, closed with a magnet with the painty paper tag. So each of these are just a tiny bit different based on where I mopped up the acrylic paint. Sorry, then that hangs out the top there. This is a Kantha quilt fabric tab, and this is the Song of the Dead Nettle Fairy. This is the pocket that I made from the CD envelope that I sewed. It's also a shaker page, and inside is the 2 additional tags. One of them is a fairy tag, one is just a journaling tag with some coffee dyed paper, and then some little fairy tickets that I made. And then this is the Tim Holtz paper and pocket with the luiseHEINZL Fussy Cut Children, says make each day magical. He's holding an embellished bouquet of flowers, and in the pocket is the ATC that I made with my daughter's image. It's a fairy with a fairy quote, and another little notebook with some punchinella or sequin scrap that you can use as a stencil or just decoration on the top. And then the very last page, here is the Cicely Mary Barker original postcard that comes with this journal, and the little tiny handmade journal that I made out of little index cards. It just tucks right in here. And this is the, sorry about the little pieces of scrap from my work table that get on there. This is the Orchis Fairy Journal. Okay, one left. Ready? Thank you for hanging in there with me. This is the Ragged Robin Fairy. This has the beautiful mustard gold trim, and I just love it. And the red with the Kantha quilt in those colors. Okay, let's make sure we're in frame here. Once again, the Handmade with Love charm, the letter from me on the Liberty of London paper. Details are in the description box for some of these items I'm describing to you. This is a little handmade matchbook filled with vintage ephemera in this pocket with a lace little snippet. Some Tim Holtz paper. This is the beautiful fabric snippet with the handmade postcard. It's a journaling card. Favorite page. I've said that every time, that's why I'm giggling. The complete book of the Flower Fairies, original page with some music. This is just some painty book page. This is the fabric flip for this book from the embroidered fabric, and it features the topper on the very back. This is the gardening book. This is the fairy ATC that I made, and the fairy tea, decorative tea bag with the winter spice tea inside. And I'll put that together later. And this page is the spread that has the tuck, the mason jar tuck, with the large bingo card with the Timmy Holtz person, little fairy with the fairy wings. The complete book of the Flower Fairies, Flower Fairies of the Winter. This is the Song of the Old Man's Beard Fairy. I love that. And these are the beads that I used to decorate the strings on this one. I tried to use colors that match. And this is the postage stamp encased in mica, two-sided dangle. And this one has a pine cone charm and a crystal, because this is the pine cone fairy here. And the altered playing card. This has, this closed envelope has the specimen card showcasing the coffee plant. That's sweet. And it's got the filled, thick folio inside that's filled with ephemera pieces. It has 7 pockets, and it is closed with this cute envelope charm. I'm not going to open it up. I did in the flip through of the Eyebright Fairy, but this is included. You may or may not want to keep it in here because it does add quite a bit of bulk. It can be used somewhere else, or given as Happy Mail, or just used to hold some of your ephemera. I'm going to set that off to the side until afterwards, and I'll put it back together. This is the bookmark that was a freebie from luiseHEINZL in a winter garden, from the winter gardening book. This is the collaged junk mail envelope with the large tag with the quote, once you choose hope, anything is possible. And this is a nod to breast cancer survivors and breast cancer awareness. This is the folio, little, coin envelope that I made with the coffee dyed paper, and there is also a matching painty papered tag with a lace topper behind it as well. This is the Kantha quilt page tab on the Song of the Alder Fairy. This is the pocket that has the CD envelope with the fairy inside, and it's a shaker page, and it says "Believe in the Magic," and inside is a loaded tag. It has 2 tags inside of the pocket, a fairy tag and a journaling tag, and it has a wooden butterfly embellishment and also some fairy tickets that I created in this pocket as well. And then this pocket here is made from Tim Holtz paper and one of luiseHEINZL's Fussy Cut Girls, and I embellished their little flowers here. And inside of the pocket is a ATC that I created with my daughter's image and a little booklet. with some punchinella or sequin waist at the top that you can use as a stencil or decoration. And then last but not least, here is the Cicely Mary Barker original postcard that's included with this journal, and the little mini journal that is in each one that was made from little index cards and some sweet little embellishments. You can put this in your fairy journal, leave it out for your favorite fairies to journal in. And this is this one, and it is the Ragged Robin. So all of these are listed in my Etsy shop, Joyful Makes and Finds. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the flip through. I have a lot planned for 2023. Happy New Year. Thank you to my subscribers. I send you all so much love, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.